Hi, this is Kirk, the bariatric carnivore. So, do you want to live forever? That's a good question. There's a lot of interest in longevity, and a lot of folks, bought into this idea called the Blue Zone. And there's a lot of interest in the Blue Zone diet, how people live in those areas. And the term actually came from a guy by the name of David Bontner, who worked for National Geographic, was doing some work over in Okinawa about 2000, and realized that there was a bunch of older males, bigger population of older males than he'd run across in a long time. And he started exploring it, and he started doing some more demographic regions research, and realized that there were certain zones across the country where there's these large pockets of centenarian males, and he started trying to dig in there, trying to figure out what the commonality was. And he came up with a list of things that he thought were important. It seemed to be sort of constant in these areas where there were lots of people that lived to be a very long age, over 100 years old. And one of them was, community, sense of purpose. They were active all the time. Fairly simple diet, not much stress, etc. They weren't in high-tech areas. For the most part, they were in areas that were kind of rural, a lot of community. Religion turned out to be very important, and family. But again, that sense of purpose was kind of central in all this stuff. And, that was kind of cool. Got a lot of people to start thinking about, maybe I need to slow down my lifestyle, change my diet, etc. And, maybe that will help me to live longer. And all was well and good. And then the Seventh-day Adventist Church bought the term Blue Zone, and they copyrighted it. If you go to their website, you're going to see a lot of emphasis on Blue Zone diets. And the idea of the Blue Zone diets is it's all plant-based because it's all based on the teachings of the Seventh-day Adventist Church, which tries to warn you to stay away from meat because meat leads to lust and impure thoughts. So, the way to godliness in the Seventh-day Adventist Church is to avoid red meat. That's fine. I don't care about it, but frankly, that's why frankly, what bugs me is a lot of reporters do not really Google into it a little bit before they start talking about blue zones, and they always assume that blue zone diets are really the reason why people are living longer. And that's really, when you look at it, that's not true. When if you're looking at his characteristics of the people that live longer, which is the most important? What is the one that helps people? Is it the sleep, the lack of stress? Is it the sense of purpose? Is it the God? Is it family, community? Could that be more important than diet as far as longevity is concerned? And frankly, unless you do an experiment where you take one of those things away from some of those people, you don't know. It's a multivariable thing. There's lots of different things that could cause this. So as a result, you really can't make a statement that the diet is all that important. It's only one of several factors that go into this overall conglomeration. And frankly, it's not all that conclusive. A lot of the places that they call blue zones are very rural areas with very poor record keeping. And it turns out that some of these blue zones, there was a lot of financial reasons why people would want to call themselves 20 years older than they really were, because they got a nice government pension and they got to retire and they got to do nothing. If they just claimed that they were, they could be 40 years old, but if they claimed to be 60, they got a free check every month. And as a result, there's a lot of question marks whether some of these blue zones are actual blue zones or not. But frankly, I think you can learn something from it. There's certainly something to be said about having purpose in our lives, for a reason to get up in the morning. Family is definitely important. The lack of stress are all going to be important things. Some of them are avoidable, some of them aren't. But, living in a modern society with lots of inputs all the time, it's going to wear you out. You can look at the faces of some of the richest people and the people under the most pressure, and you can definitely see that it really does affect you. They may live for a long time, but they just don't look healthy. And frankly, I'm not worried about how long I live. I just want to be healthy while I'm living. And when right now 60 to 70% of Americans over 40 years of age have at least one chronic disease. Many of them have several. And when you look at really the causes of most of the chronic diseases, their diet and lifestyle created. Basically, we choose to get them. You choose to be overweight. A lot of the blood pressure problems, type 2 diabetes, etc., are really all issues that we can control with diet. And we choose them by default. If you don't change lifestyle to make things work, you're choosing to be sick. And I don't want to be sick. And when you look at about 40% of those people over 60 years old are on 5 or more medications, and that gets complicated. We don't often test very well to see how one medication interferes or interacts with another. And you start dumping 5 medications into your systems, you're going to get a whole host of interactions. Because, yes, chemical A interferes with chemical B, and the combination of that messes really seriously with chemical C, and it starts to create problems astronomically. It's an exponential cascade of possible side effects. And I know this, I think, from my own experience. When I was 50 years old, I was getting on close to 10 medications a day. It started off when I wasn't feeling particularly well. Took one of those little tests, told my doc, hey, I think I got ADHD. They gave me Adderall. I felt fantastic for a little bit, but then I had problems sleeping, so they gave me Ambien to help me sleep. Well, now my sleep schedule's messed up. I'm not getting good sleep because I'm chemically sedating myself with that medication, so I'm getting depressed. Now get the antidepressant, that gets tossed in there. Standard American diet starts to catch up with me. Boom, got gout. Now I'm taking another medication for that. Blood pressure starts to go up. Now I'm on medications for that. Allergies start to flare up because I'm so inflamed. And it keeps going on and on and on. Then my stomach starts going nuts. Now I'm on a PPI to try to get all that stuff taken care of. It was miserable. And one medication would lead to another problem, and it just cascading. And I didn't feel very good. And frankly, it wasn't until I went low carb and finally started eating just meat, vegetables, stuff like that, that I started to feel better and my weight went down. And people often get on low carb diets or carnivore just for short-term weight loss. And hopefully you will, if you're curious about it, you'll try it out for about 90 days because that's how long it takes for any type of dietary intervention to start to have the positive effects, for you to really become fat adapted and really see how you feel on a low carb diet. So hopefully you'll try it that long, but hopefully you'll stick to it. I don't think the low carb carnivore is a diet so much as a lifestyle. Once you get into it and you really start to change it, you start to realize, what? I feel better. My muscles don't hurt. My type 2 diabetes is going away. All the blood markers that we see for health improve. I'm off medications. I can get de-prescribed on these things, and general well-being improves a lot. And that's frankly what I want more than anything else. I don't want to be in pain. I want to be healthy. I don't want to be in a wheelchair. I don't want to be an invalid, and I don't want to be a burden to anybody. I can't give you purpose in life. I can't give you community. But if you try, I swear, if you just do the diet, for a couple of weeks, you're going to want to be more active. And as your activity improves, your sleep is going to improve. Those are the 3 key pillars to health. And as that all improves, you will probably, just by osmosis, start to get yourself more involved in a community, because you're not going to want to isolate. You're not going to want to sit behind the TV all the time. You're really going to want to be actively participating in the world. And frankly, that is, I think, what the central thing that we figured out from the Blue Zones more than anything else is people have all these things going for them, which creates a sense of purpose and activity, and all these things cascade together beautifully. I don't think you can just say it is a diet. I think it's all of it. I mean, who doesn't want to be healthy? Who doesn't want to live a good, long, healthy life? Frankly, I don't mind. I don't care exactly how long I live, as long as I live well while I'm alive. That's what I want more than anything else. This is Kirk, the Bariatric Carnivore. If you like this message, please like, subscribe, join this community. And hey, just for funsies, write down in the comments how long you want to live. I mean, is there an age limit, or you just want to go out healthy? Frankly, I either want to go out one of two ways. They either find me in bed, or I'm actively riding my bike or running or exercising and they find me dead. I don't care which. I want to be going or sleeping right to the very end. So this is Kirk, the Bariatric Carnivore. Try to put out a couple messages each week. I will talk to you soon.